Future Vision. Of course, as usual, there will be spoilers in this review, and in lieu of any kind of proper intro, let's just get right into this thing. This is the episode where we get actual verbal confirmation that Garnet is precognitive, meaning that she can see the future, though I put that in quotes because that's not exactly how it works. Essentially, Steven is having one of those stereotypical I need to grow up kind of moments that doesn't really develop into anything because this show likes to take stereotypes and then beat them up, pound them into the ground, and steal their lunch money. That being said, Steven almost literally runs into Garnet. He trips down his steps, and she is just suddenly there to catch him. And he asks her kind of just offhandedly how she's always in the right place at the right time. And she contemplates for a moment, and then she decides to tell him that she has future vision. We learn later how big of a risk that actually was, as well as the other reason why there was the I need to grow up thing in here, aside from them, wanting to stomp on the stereotype. Because now that Steven knows this, he starts asking her the outcomes to all these things, prompting her to explain exactly how her future vision works. She explains that no one can literally see what's going to happen in the future, but that some gems, like Garnet herself, have the ability to see possible futures. And then with the right amount of dedication and applied intellect, they can narrow down through use of probability which of those possible futures are the most possible. And I guess with roughly 6,000 years of practice, Garnet has gotten fairly good at determining which futures are the most likely and then acting upon them. She even basically says that. She says, I have the map and I steer the ship, implying that she does attempt to use her future vision to subvert the more undesirable of futures. But Steven very quickly realizes that Garnet doesn't just see happy-go-lucky, fluffy apple pie in the clouds kind of futures. Fluffy apple pie in the clouds. I don't understand how my brain works sometimes. She also sees all of the futures where horrible, horrible things happen to him. And it gets him thinking about all the possible futures where horrible, horrible things happen to him too. And my camera just fell over. I apologize if the angle's a little different. I had to stand it back up. Anyway, so of course Steven starts worrying about dying. And Garnet, she realizes he's having something like an existential crisis, but I don't think she realizes how to help him yet. And she's got somewhere to be, so she just tells him to stay off the roof, and then she just kind of bugs out. Which is one of those questionable parenting decisions that I mentioned in the previous review. But it all works out, because even though Steven does climb up onto the roof, in a lightning storm, mind you, Garnet gets there in time to further explain things. She basically says that while dangerous futures are possible, it doesn't mean you should change the way you live your life. That's very boiled down from what she actually says. She also explains to Steven that the only reason she told him this is because she foresaw that it was possible, unlikely, but possible, that he had matured enough to come to understand this power, and because of that, the two of them would grow closer to each other, which is one of the few times that we see the supposedly infallible Garnet actually have a weakness. That being that, as untouchable as she often seems, she really just wants to know her son better. And hearing all of this, Steven realizes she's right. And he does come to understand future vision, and the two of them do grow closer to each other, and we do get revisits of this episode later on, where this theme continues, where, through future vision, Steven does come to understand Garnet better as a person. This episode's kind of like the original Lion episode, in that it's a foundation that other episodes can build upon. And in some ways I kind of feel the same way about it that I do about the original Lion episode, that while it's necessary, it's not as interesting as it could be because it is a framework upon which future story points can be built upon. But I do feel like this is a much superior episode. Simple, but still a really good episode with some really good character building for both Steven and Garnet. And come to think of it, I honestly don't remember if the other gems even appear in this episode. That's how strong the character building for Steven and Garnet is here. You don't mind that the other characters didn't really have anything to do, if anything at all. You just don't care because what you got was so meaningful. Unfortunately, though, there's not a whole lot more to say about this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up this review. Guys, if you have seen this episode, what do you think about it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.